In 1989, Warner Brothers released the long-anticipated Batman movie starring Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton and Billy Dee Williams as Harvey Two-Face. The movie ended up being a box office success. Signed up for Harvey because he wanted to transform into Two-Face later on in the Batman movie. Politics and racism would rear its ugly head in Hollywood. After the mixed critical review of Batman Returns starring Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer, things went awry. Basically, the studio fired Tim Burton. Well, didn't really fire him, they just basically told him to walk away from the director's chair, and they wanted a lighter movie, whatever that meant, and basically said you were going to find a different director and we're going to have a different type of movie, a different type of feel. And what happened was they hired Joel Schumacher, God rest his soul, to direct the movie. Once Joel Schumacher took over the Batman directorial chair, he decided to do some recasts, change the script massively from Tim Burton's version of a Batman 3. And in return, Michael Keaton decided to leave the franchise because he didn't like the tone or the pitch for how the Batman was going to be handled in Batman Forever. So Val Kilmer was cast to replace Michael Keaton in Batman 3, or better known as Batman Forever. When it came to Billy Dee Williams, he had signed a contract to appear in Two-Face in 2 movies. However, Joel Schumacher did not want Billy Dee Williams playing Two-Face. He opted for his star player Tommy Lee Jones to take over the role. However, he had to have the studio remove Billy Dee Williams as Two-Face so he can recast him with a white actor in Tommy Lee Jones. Once the process had begun and Joel Schumacher was able to get his way, Billy Dee Williams was no longer playing Harvey Two-Face. So the studio, the world, the audience around the world, and for Black Americans watching, they did not get the opportunity to see Billy Dee Williams turn into Two-Face on screen. Instead, they got to watch a ready-made Two-Face with Tommy Lee Jones. Now, don't get me wrong, Tommy Lee Jones is a good actor, award-winning performances in a lot of good movies, but this was wrong by every means of the imagination. Tommy Lee Jones should not have accepted the role as Harvey Two-Face, and instead, political pressure should have been pushed on Joel Schumacher to stick with Billy Dee Williams as Harvey Two-Face. However, it wouldn't stop there. Marlon Wayans, who was originally signed on to play Robin but got written out in Batman Returns because of too many characters, was also removed and cast with another white actor in Chris O'Donnell. Essentially, Batman, which was known for its diversity with Tim Burton, went into a 360 spin with whitewashing from Warner Brothers. Essentially, Joel Schumacher recast the characters of color with white traditional actors, essentially creating the image that white is better and color is not. Again, God rest Joel Schumacher's soul. Whatever his decision making went into casting these roles, I'm not calling him a racist. I'm not calling Warner Brothers a racist studio. But at the end of the day, it didn't look good for people of color who were being scrubbed out in these Batman movies in order to please a certain audience. The role of Harvey Two-Face was wrong to be scrubbed out. Marlon Wayans, who was also scrubbed out, it's just not fair. But believe it or not, these 2 legendary actors today still get a paycheck from Warner Brothers, and anytime that Batman movie aired on streaming services, because the idea and the ugly politics that went into removing them as lead characters in these movies was wrong, and it was atrocious. Billy Dee Williams and Marlon Wayans should not have been removed from their lead roles in the Batman franchise. Imagine Billy Dee Williams playing Harvey Two-Face. It would have been an amazing moment in cinematic history. Who knows what Billy D. Williams would have done with the role of Harvey Two-Face, and the challenges and the complexities and the excitement he would have brought into the role against actually played in Batman Forever. He would have taken the role to new heights. At that point, he was acting as a silly character in the show The Wayans Brothers, but Marlon Wayans got a wide range of credible acting skills. Honestly, he would have taken the role a lot more seriously, and he would have portrayed himself in a way that would have really moved audiences across the United States and around the world that he was a convincible, admirable Robin. And Warner Brothers recently has done right by letting Matt Reeves cast Commissioner Gordon as a person of color. Jeffrey Wright being cast as Commissioner Gordon offers a fresh perspective on the role in Batman. Finally, we get a sense of new direction with a person of color playing Commissioner Gordon. So many years, we've seen so many white actors playing Commissioner Gordon that in reality we've lost the real representation of people of color playing these roles unless they were written as black. What Matt Reeves really does here is he goes against the conventional norms of the comic book and says, hey, I'm going to cast a person of color to play Commissioner Gordon. He doesn't stop there. He casts a person of color to play Catwoman as well. And to address, they talk about in detail the corruption in Gotham and the white elites having to be worried and having to be scared of something taking them down. Honestly, it was something I never thought that they would ever address, white privilege in a Batman movie. It was tastefully done. Having a mayor who is a person of color and a woman at that was just amazing. Matt Reeves really pushes diversity throughout this Batman movie. Finally, a director gets it right. Matt Reeves adds a strong layer of diversity in this movie. That's why this movie needs to be watched by millions and millions of fans alike who really enjoy Batman. The Batman is a really strong movie, and casting these serious roles with people of color really show that Batman not only represents the few, but he represents all of America, and this movie gets it right. Please go see this movie, and hopefully we have a Black Robin in the future. We never know. My fingers are crossed. The inaccuracies in diversity in Batman Forever, it's left in the past. Hopefully we look at it and we address it in the present. It's something that should be looked at. Honestly, we need more diversity in film, especially these comic book based movies. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to BKJ Mac TV for more content.